Hello there, David again. Just releasing this today, and yeah, so this is going to be the famous video where I explain not all of the synthesizer, but just the part that concerns the Emu Tab, which basically I'm the only one in the company that understands it since I've designed it. Let's be clear, this feature is a bonus. I don't want to receive some stuff like this ultra mega demo running disk emulation doesn't work. That's not the point. This emulator is specifically made to play SID files and to play small one-file programs that does stuff. Today I'm going to show a bit of that, a bit of these things. This is a Famicom clone that I built using a Teensy, and a prototype SID cartridge, and also my trusty old MIDI box SID, which I've built in like 2005 or 4, which served for chip sounds. It's very... So this has a 6502 in there. This can either have a 6502 or a 6582 or 8580. But for now, this is the tab that requires a lot of explanation. So say you know what you're doing, although yet you don't know what you're doing. What is that? This is the most fun I had in like 2 years. Basically, this is a semi-full-blown Commodore 64 emulator. If I click here, this is going to play the awesome demo that Format has made for the release. It currently runs on a R4. I'm going to change this because it's not meant for it. It's meant for R5. So this is where you choose the SIDs that you're going to use. Most games and SID files only use 1. Some use 2. Some use 3. A few use 4 and more, but rockin'. That was such an amazing surprise how well it turned out. Like beta after beta, he kept making it better. Awesome guy. Okay, so this is PAL speed, but we can change it. So if that ran in a SSI 2001 ISO sound card, makes no sense. NTSC. Okay, this is silly, but you can... Pretty groovy. Anyway, so basically that changes the whole clock of the SID file, the SID and the CPU inside the emulator. So that's not something you typically see in emulators, but since we're a musical software, we can detune the speed by musical intervals. That's just the way it is when you're a programmer. I was talking a bit earlier about multiple SIDs. Let's put that back. So this Game of Thrones, hope I'm not going to get a copyright strike. That'd be funny. This demo requires a second SID at hexadecimal D420. So let's put one in D420, another R5, and play it again. The SID pops like crazy. This is going to be some major complaint, but you have no choice. Pops have to be there, otherwise some songs will not sound the same. Enough of that. You can have as much fun as you want. This is a PSID file. So a PSID file we can analyze easily, because it contains all the routine. The CPU writes at each 60 or 50 times per second the registers on the SID and basically creates automations. In contrast, if you take chipsynth MD, which is an FM synth, let's skip to register mode. Track 3. See all the registers that are called, that are written to. I'm gonna stop this, grab this. See, nothing has changed much while it played. the computer and the registers didn't have to change while that played because the sound chip is able to create some movement naturally because it has a separate EG for all the modulators and for the carrier. So you can get these rich sounds without any CPU intervention, which is not the case with the SID at all. In a SID, you don't have this. You have only an ADSR, one ADSR per channel, and that's it. Say if I make something quite nice sounding, but minimal, course 3, and here 7, let's make a chord. And let's make some movement. More than that. Let's really exaggerate this thing. So this is as much movement a SID can do by its own if you just write one time to all the various features of the SID. So this needs to be what we call in plugin terms parameter automated or DAW automation or something like that. But in SID terms, you had something like this. Let's just re-in it. So I've previously grabbed something. Let me show it. This is an analysis of all the frames that have been played. So from 1 to 50, let's zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. So all these, this is exactly 1 second of automation. At each frame, 50 times per second, some registers are being written to. So this is not exactly the registers, but it's already pre-decoded, pre-digested in a way that I understand it. So as you see, the pulse width does a delta of 80 over a 12-bit value, and it automates and automates. At one point it stops, and then it jumps way back here, and then goes again. So the way that works is if I say grab frame sequence, now underneath it, in the code that I've written, all of these frames are analyzed. I detect loop points and automatically fill out tables with that information. So it's basically transforming DAW automation in like 8-bit style automation into tables that make sense for a musician. So if I do... So this is one of the tables. Let's see what's after. So pitch and pulse width have changed. So if I grab that, now I have... And I can play this whatever I want. So yeah, it's quite limited because there's a pitch shift, but you can do pretty much... Here it's a bit simpler. We have a detune here, so it does this pitch thing. And then it stays here. What do we have? The pulse width could be improved. The grabber is not, it cannot do 100% of the job all the time perfectly. That's quite weird because... So it does this pop, but that's what you want. So if you remove the pop, it doesn't sound the same. We have a few options here to the filter pops and the env bugs and all that sort of stuff, but yeah, I guess I'm just used to it. But some synthesizer, a casual plugin user will say, why does it pop all the time? That's SID. It's the way it is. So that's double-edged sword of emulating something perfectly. You get all its quirks as well. So what else? I could export the frame sequence directly in a VGMX file. Say, I don't know, toto.vgm, and import it. That's a typical VGMX file because I wasn't content with VGM. I had to not invented hereize this. But anyway, this is more convenient because you actually... So you could offline analyze this, so you get frames and all the values. So if that's what you want to be the nerd and check out what's underneath. You can if you want, or you can later on re-import that segment and the software will automatically reinterpret it as live table. So you can do that in two steps. And if you want to have say some form of library of segments of SID automation that you like for say future upgrade to the software or whatever. So that's the analysis part. Now what's ACID? Let me just re-init this. ACID really is a protocol that's been invented by who again? Yeah, so that's from the Electron SID station that we see here. Nice little box that I never had before. I've saw a few of them in stores. And they were the first to come up with this SISEX method of letting, say, an external SID player that would output its register live on the device. Although with normal MIDI, it's a bit slow. My little teensy here. First, I'm just gonna cut one channel. Start teensy, hello. Oh yeah, it does the SID bench by default, so I just have to let it finish. That's basically, that really helps to see if the SID is working, if the connection is working and so forth. It's done its thing. Let me say, I could, let's put synth 1 here. That's important distinction. Refresh device list. Completely out of tune. Why do you think? It's because this run at this clock here, FC SID. So if I run that, now the whole emulation core runs at 1.75 megahertz. Now you should hear pretty much the same thing. Let me adjust the volumes from the mixer. Oh, that's this one. Maybe this bit. So left we have our emulation core, and left we have this little device. So now everything in the synth tab, the first voice, it wouldn't work if you change the polyphony. Everything here is the same. Let's try, let's say saw. Both are running saw. Now I got it correctly. I have the 2485 chip in this thing, because otherwise some things don't match. Like if I try to filter, if I try combine waveforms, they won't match against a silly me. I had a, anyway. Let's put some stuff here. Let's try the ring mod for fun. Nice. Let's combine this waveform. It's usually that way. See how that's complex? That's one hell of a complex waveform. Now I've got MIDI box SID, which according to the note that I've drawn on top of it is this one, the R3 2084. I've already made sure that it worked because that's kind of boring setting us up. You see, we hear the old leaking oscillator, so we'll have to emulate this as well. Although we don't have the background noise, but we have the leaking oscillator now. We don't put the envelope bug because, you know, that's kind of boring. Let's do a filter test first. See what this thing entails. So the way to excite the filter is put as much stuff into it as you can. 3 channel of noise usually does it. Now, let's put them all in the filter and listen to that crunch. lovely, beautiful crunch. Not too bad, not too bad. Let's try the other one. Fresh device list. It's pretty similar, isn't it? Let's whack the filter a bit. Like, it completely dies. See, the 8580 doesn't distort at all. Anyway, you could have fun with this, or you could just say, screw that, and let's output to from forward whatever the Emu receives. So let's play that song again. See, it plays on both. Anyway, so that's the SID part. Do I have something else to show you? Yes! Matter of fact, I do. So, one of the funny things you can do is run this thing. What is that? That's the synth card. I could decide to forward the MIDI that plugin receives into the fake piano overlay, which is this thing. So, see how that works. Normally you have this software running as a cartridge inside this, and then you hit those keys. But what happens now in the software is that let me see if the synth is on. No, I'm just gonna shut this off and not do anything just to make sure that it's clean. Emu and piano overlay. So I'm taking the MIDI from the DAW, transforming it into key presses that this thing interprets. A bunch of cool presets in there. So it's kind of a synthesizer in a synthesizer. Quite cool, actually. Okay, so let's do this and add some stuff on my side too. This is out of tune! What's going on? Oh, that again. This is so horrible. Put that back normal. Thank you so much. If it's not obvious, I'm quite exhausted. Quite happy to get this in the can. That video as well. Thank you. See you later.